Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Sorry for the delay this morning. We had some technical difficulties. Things is the Such is the nature of the live stream that you never know it's going to work until you push the button. And when you push the button, sometimes it doesn't work. It's kind of like life. Sometimes you push the button, no va. So we are so thanks for your patience and waiting for us to come along. Hey, Jamie, you're not late. I am. Hope you're doing great this morning. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Enjoying a little bit of the break in the weather. It is a beautiful 45 degrees here and a little cloudy this morning, which so it's certainly a near on 30 degree shift here from 20 something degrees anyway from yesterday. So we're thankful for that. You push my buttons. Nah, I see what you did there. Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. All right. Have a little mug up this morning. Hope you're doing great on your day. Ready for where? Office Christmas party tonight. Any advice? Don't be the last to leave. Never be the last to leave the office Christmas party. That's all. That's my piece of advice to you. All right. Morning, Donna. How are you? Hope you're doing great. Karen, good morning to you. Glad y'all are still hanging around with our little technical delay this morning. Hope everybody's doing all right. You're all on my heart, and I will say prayers for you today, for sure. All right, friends, let's get going. It is the 10th day of December here at, well, close to 11:11 anyway, that we might find ourselves together on this Wednesday. And it's a joy to be with you. It really is. Like, it's a joy that we might spend a little time on the trail together in this moment, whether you're finding us later in the digital ethosphere or whether we're on this live stream right now, you and I kind of nugging it out together this journey. I hope you find some solace and some grace and some peace in this time. It is this. It's a weird season. You know, I alluded to it yesterday, I think a little bit. It is a weird season. We are in this late fall. It's not quite winter, and yet certainly the temperatures have been feeling like winter the past few days. It is, but it is still not quite fall, is it? We're in this season where it is the pumpkins are gone, the corn mazes have all closed. This late fall time of emptiness in a way, and yet at the same time it's not quite winter. We don't have snow on the ground, or we're not contending with all of the pieces and the parts of what real winter looks like. And yet the days are still being filled largely with darkness. And it's kind of a swing this time of year, isn't it? It's this kind of almost in between time, and kind of an empty time. This emptiness of the challenge of the new season, which is almost but not yet. You know, it's almost but not yet. We're right at the edge, right at the precipice of we really do have one foot in winter and one foot in fall in a way. And I think there's something about the external world, that the natural world, that's mirroring that to us in our physical lives. Now we've talked about yesterday about being in the Advent season, about being in this season of adventure, the season of almost but not yet, in the coming of the birth of Jesus. And I think that one of the things it invites us to do is to look at the images and the scenes and the symbols of our life. You know, because there's probably no greater season. I think that this transitional season from fall into winter, in which the symbols seem to take on so much power. Yeah, we've got some symbols around the Fourth of July and a few other things, but the symbols of the jack-o'-lantern, or the wheat, or the corn stalk, or the Christmas lights going up, or the Santa Claus out and about, or the different pieces of these things that hearken to us in different ways, in different times of our lives. They tell us different stories. A turkey table, a turkey on a table set for Thanksgiving. All of these aren't just events. They're not just things that are happening. They're not just things we stumble into, but they are signs and symbols. And you can tell a symbol because it's one of these things that resonates with us. It harkens to us different things at different times. If we think about a kind of that set table of Thanksgiving, or we think about that Santa Claus out at the mall, or we think about these the mall. Listen to me. How old am I? That we think about these different things, and we think about the even the natural world, the Christmas tree. We think about the icicle hanging off an eave. All of these things hearken in us something deeper, because we've encountered them our whole lives, right? That they meant something different to us when we were 8 than maybe when we're alive now. They meant something different to us when we were in our kind of more adventurous days than our less adventurous days. That these things have something for us in each season of our lives, and we know they point to something eternal. That's what they do. And so, the great Robert Frost said that you can't get too much winter in the winter. And I always loved that, because, even though Frost was, a New Englander, I'm still like, man, I've been a couple winters that we had plenty of winter in winter. But Frost understood that that the symbols lead us to these great relationships, and the great relationships with the larger things of our life, and that we find those in humans, because we can't really find them anywhere else, but we find them in these human relationships. But we find it in these great loves, the great sorrows, the transcendence truths of our lives, that fences aren't just fences, snow isn't just winter, fire isn't just fire, ice isn't just ice, a road isn't just a road diverging in the woods. It's not just language, but these are symbols, just like a wedding ring on a finger, or a flag-draped coffin, or a rose offered to somebody in love, or a Bible opened. They open and they evoke in us feelings that are beyond what even words can talk about, and they say things that are bigger than that. And that we kind of stand on the precipice of this season, this late fall moment. And in some ways, that this entry into the winter time, this fallow time, has, I think, a way of it's really a wilderness time. I would say that if we were to equate a season to how we understand to biblical states, I would say it's a wilderness time that we find ourselves in when we enter winter, right? There's this way in which it is wild for us in ways that it is not verdant, it is not green, it is not easy to get all the yummy, delicious things, and then we stand in this moment, and it made me think of the Exodus. It made me think of excuse me, when Moses is taking the Israelites out of Egypt and into the wilderness, taking them out headed for the promised land. And that there's something to this. I think we can look at this time of year and this moment and this as this sign and this symbol of this wider thing. But there's this weird thing that happened, and I'd never really noticed it till I kind of went back and read this the story again because of the way that I was thinking about this time of year and this time between times. It's not really fall, it's not really winter, it's still Advent. We're coming into Christmas. That all of these different pieces and parts and all these different ways that we're being really bombarded by these symbols, as I was talking about before. And this is what Bible's so awesome this way. This is what it says. So as they're getting ready to go, so the Israelites are on one side of the Red Sea. The Egyptians are coming down to try and kill them all, and God has parted the waters in the Red Sea to take them across, but they're not quite into it. They're like, well, you want us to go in there, like there's big walls of water? You want us to go in there? That doesn't seem like a good idea. That doesn't seem, and I think it's kind of like winter. Like, you want me to? It's going to be 10 below. You want me to go there? I don't know about that. But here's what it says. Why do you keep? This is what God says to the Israelites. God says, at this moment where they're kind of like, this next season, I don't know if I like it. This crossing over into the wilderness time, I don't know if I like it. This is what Moses said. This is what the Lord says to Moses. He says, why do you keep calling out to me for help? Like, I've already given you help. There's a pathway over it. I've separated the waters. Go that way. You already know which way to go. Like, you don't need to keep asking me for help. Like, it's right there. Tell the Israelites to move forward. Then hold your walking stick over the sea. The water will open up and make a road where you can walk through on dry ground. I will make the Egyptians so stubborn that they will go after you. And then I will be praised because of what will happen to the king and his chariots and his cavalry. The Egyptians will know for sure that I am the Lord. And this is the fun part. So they're like, we don't know where to go. It's like, go across. Go. I got this. Go that way. But he says this. All the time prior to this, God's angel had gone ahead of Israelites' army, but now moved behind them. That this notion that God's angels had gone ahead, God's angels had gone ahead, but it's now, as they stutter step, God's angels step behind them and are like, okay, move along, people. Like, this is God's sheepdog, if you will, who is circling the angels. The angels have been leading them along, and now the sheep are like, we can't go into the water. We can't. The water. Like, what are you talking about? We can't go into this new season. We can't go into this new thing. And the angel comes around behind, and begins to prod them along forward. I think it's a beautiful image for this season of symbols and signs that we find ourselves. That each one of us, we can point to our own time of wilderness as we look at the season coming up. Maybe it's you just don't want to contend with another winter and it's cold. Maybe there's this invitation of grief around looking at the table that you would set on Christmas, or looking at the tree and recognizing that the children are grown, or there are seats at the table that are empty, that this season looks a lot different than it used to in the past. Maybe you're looking at it with this whole time of having entered freedom, and maybe it doesn't look as good as you thought it did. And each of us knows these, though. We know these signs and we know these symbols of this season, and that God's prompting to us, God's angel behind us, God's message behind us is that God has always led us into God's leading, and God's angelic leading, God's angelic message for us has always led us into a new season. And the invitation too is that God will lead us into a new season now. That God, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter where you find yourself, no matter how gnarly or scary or terrifying or just uncomfortable or broken or difficult this next season that we seem to be staring into might seem, no matter how terrifying it might look, no matter how impossible that you're going to part the waters. What do you mean to part the waters? I don't know what that even looks like. Whatever it is, that God has you in this. that God has been leading you up to this whole time, and that right behind you is spurring you forward, inviting you to move and step into his promise for you, are the very angels of your leading. That in these seasons, the angels are not ahead of us, but they're behind us, encouraging us on. Moses led the Israelites out of freedom. Each of us knows the beauty of the virgin birth, and that the most beautiful and greatest symbol. And I would say the thing about the virgin birth is all of us have experienced it. All of us have experienced a grace that we didn't earn, know, or have pop up inside of us. We've all had that experience, and that's it on a scintilla level. What God is doing, what God has done, God is doing, and God has done throughout creation. That we might know peace, we might know grace, we might know love, we might know innocence that we did nothing for, that we did not earn, that we didn't do the right things in order to get that, and yet we still have received them, even when there was no good reason. Even as Paul says, the peace that surpasses all understanding will find us. All of human transformation is modeled on this season, though, this winter season, this death and resurrection season. That now we step into the winter, and the promise is we will always step once again into the spring. That the buds will always come in April. That the joys will always find us in the morning. And that is the promise of this as we kind of face down the barrel of this season. That in late fall, the angels are behind us, encouraging us on, pointing us to the way towards the promised land. Peace and grace to you all, my friends, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11. Hey, Jane, glad you made it in. Karen, so glad you're here. Irene, hey, everybody. Great to see you. Anyone else come along? Donna, so good you're here. All right, peace and grace to you, my friends. We'll pick it up tomorrow.